Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Minority Women and Their Impact on the Changing Legal Community. My name is Suzette Rusimano. I am the president-elect of the Miami-Dade Bar Association, trial lawyer at Hamilton Miller and partner, and I'm joined this morning by a wonderful group of lawyers that will be speaking to you on the subject. We have Adriana Ciora from the Ward Law Group. We have Angelica Jimenez from the law offices of Angelica Jimenez. We have Yanni Martinez Ward from the Ward Law Group, and my partner and very good friend, Shyler Smith from Hamilton Miller and Berthasol. And so I'll also let the women just say a little bit about what they do, and we're going to jump right in and start talking about the topic, starting with Adriana.
Hi, I'm Adriana Ciora, and I am one of the attorneys here at the Ward Law Group practicing in personal injury law.
Angelica, do you want to tell the panelists, or excuse me, the attendees a little bit about yourself?
Yes, my pleasure. My name is Angelica Jimenez. I practice immigration law out of sunny Hollywood, Florida.
Yanni, you want to go ahead?
Hi, good morning. My name is Hani Martinez Ward, and I'm one of the founding partners, managing partner, and chief marketing officer at the Ward Law Group. We have a law firm that helps Hispanic clients when they are victims of a car accident.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Shyler Smith. I am a partner at Hamilton Miller. I do a lot of general liability defense, product liability defense, and premises liability defense. Happy to speak with all of you today on a topic that is very near and dear to my heart.
And like Shyler, I too work on all defense matters pertaining to tort litigation, catastrophic injury, particularly for big box retail companies. So we're all happy to be here. Let's jump right in. We're going to have a PowerPoint presentation that we'll be sharing with all of you. So let me just show that and share my screen. All right. And so if you're joining us now, again, you are at the Minority Women and Their Impact in the Changing Legal Community. You've heard from our presenters. Our presenters have introduced themselves. And now we're going to talk about the challenges. Excuse me, it's not, okay.
Not a slideshow, I believe.
Yeah, it's not, it's what I thought it did. One second. There we go. Is it working? No. Is it working?
I don't think so.
No.
Let's try that again. So as you know, many of you, I'm sure, have used technology in your trials, and this is grace under pressure. How do you handle it? All right, it's gonna happen. We're gonna get this working. Let's stop that for 1 second. Okay. Is it still not showing, guys?
No.
All right, let's see. I'm hitting the start slideshow.
And it's not going. Okay.
No, it's. What are you guys seeing? Minority women and their impact in the legal changing community? That's all you're seeing?
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Are you seeing are you seeing your names now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so
I can,
yeah, let's go ahead. Are you seeing this slide, the Supreme Court slide? It's just
Yes.
not
We are.
big.
Yeah, it's just on the editing mode, looks like.
Right. I have it here, start slideshow.
I can do it for you, Suzette, but I just need a,
Okay, yeah, because it's not, I'm starting the slideshow and it just won't play.
let me try to do it. So stop sharing.
Okay.
Okay, well, we'll wing this. Like we,
Yeah, is it
It's
playing?
working. It's working.
All right, there we go. Teamwork
All
makes
right.
the dream work. That's lesson number 1, ladies and gentlemen. And so you've heard from these are our speakers, and now we're going to talk about challenges for women in the law.
Thank
As
you.
working the PowerPoint. There we go.
Thank you so much, Suzette, for the introduction, and we're giving you all the grace today and every day. So thanks so much. While women make up 51% of the general population, they're severely underrepresented in the judicial branch. A more diverse judicial branch equates to a more representative government. Here are some statistics from the bench. There were no women whatsoever on the Supreme Court for 192 years. In 1982, Justice Sandra Day O'Connor was the first female justice to serve. In 2009, Justice Sonia Sotomayor was the first Latina justice to serve. And just last year, in 2022, Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson was the first Black justice to serve on the Supreme Court. For the first time in history, women make up 44.4% of the seats on its bench. Women judges on the 13 federal courts of appeals are outnumbered by their male counterparts by a factor of nearly 2 to 1. Female state court judges in the United States make up 34%. Meanwhile, female state court judges in Florida make up 43%. We are living in a time where women are still breaking barriers in the law. And I would like to share my story with you of when I was in the 2nd grade and attended career day. That day was pivotal because either I was going to sway into the direction of space and become an astronaut, or find my purpose when I saw a young lady who was an attorney speak about how she helps people in our community. I saw myself in her because, being an immigrant from Romania, I had to grow up quickly and translate for my parents, help them and others in the community when they were facing issues. I realized at that time that language and courage was vital for survival. As a teenager and into my early 20s, I was constantly confronted with all the reasons I should not and would not become an attorney. One of my former employers would tell me that I was too soft-spoken, that I could not handle the male-dominant field, that I was too shy, not capable enough, that the law profession was better suited for her kids and I should consider becoming a teacher. And lastly, I would not be able to afford law school. I would hear this rhetoric for 8 years. With lots of faith, my family's steadfast encouragement, especially my mother, and remembering career day, with the female attorney standing proud, explaining how she helped people, I finally decided to apply to law school. Unfortunately, the rhetoric that law was not for me as a female continued, and this time from my godfather. The day that I got accepted into law school was the same day he severed the relationship, because he was adamant that law school was not for a woman, let alone a Romanian woman. So I graduated from Western Michigan University Cooley Law School. I made the Dean's List my second and third year, awarded the Fitzgerald Student Award, the Leadership's Achievement Award, was part of 5 different school organizations, and at the same time running our family's global company right here in South Florida. I went on to practice personal injury law at a law firm that values women in the law and provides encouragement to excel. And that firm is the Ward Law Group. So my story is a story of courage, determination, perseverance. It's a story of what's possible when you believe in yourself and refuse to let anyone else define your potential. Just as each female justice, from the Supreme Court to the lower courts, had to triumph over adversity, had to stay true to their purpose and calling, so should you, and continue to inspire, continue to mentor the little immigrant girls to the young ladies who just need a word of encouragement, because the world is telling them that the law is not for them. So today, let us believe in ourselves, in our abilities. Let us strive for greatness and never let anyone tell us what we can or cannot do. Thank you.
Thank you,
That-
Adriana. Yes.
That was fantastic. What a beautiful story, Adriana. Thank you for sharing that with us. That is so inspiring.
Thank
Yes,
you.
Absolutely. And you know, I think that I'm sure after we hear everyone's stories today, I think the common theme among all of us and many women out there is grit, and that we've gotten where we've gotten because we haven't accepted no. Even when the voices in our head were telling us that we couldn't do it, we said we're going to keep going. So I'm really excited to hear everyone else's stories. And now we're going to be talking about challenges for Hispanic women in the law, and Angelica is going to be telling us a little bit about that.
So yes, let's start off with some interesting statistics here, because as we all know, women outnumber men in the United States. So the US population, 50.5% is women. Now, of that, you see that Hispanics make up 18.9% of the US population. After that, you take a look and you say, how many of those are Hispanic attorneys? So 5.8%, okay, of those 1.3 million lawyers in the United States are Hispanic. When you look at female attorneys, just in general in the United States, that's 38% are female attorneys. So once you put the Latina attorneys into all this formula, how many Latina attorneys do you think that there are? It's actually a surprising number. It's only 2%. So only 2% of female Hispanic attorneys are practicing law. So Latinas in the legal profession, we suffer the lowest representation of any racial or ethnic group in the national population. So why does Latino representation matter? So as we all know, in our communities, women are very important in all communities, and we're an integral part of the Hispanic community. When you empower women, you empower a community as a whole. So our Hispanic community, our Latin community, they need a voice. A lot of times in our practice areas, we give the voice to the small guy, the guy who feels underrepresented. So we are kind of like a liaison for our community, and this actually creates greater trust in the rule of law. So people that may have misconceptions of the legal process, they fear that they're not big enough to make an impact. We actually help our communities have a voice. And if that moral obligation isn't incentive enough, think about this. Let's think about numbers. So in the US economy, the Hispanic community influences 33%. So that's 33% of the US economy. And additionally, in organizations, they've made studies that have shown that mixed racial groups, so diversity in race and gender, actually allows an organization to perform better. It allows an organization to make better, more informed decisions. You have people from different aspects coming together, bringing in ideas, and it's actually made organizations more profitable. So they're above, the moral reasons, there are economic reasons too. So another interesting statistic that I wanted to talk a little bit about, if we could move on to the next slide. So this is something that's been reported. 50% of white women have reported mistaken identity in the courtroom. So what is mistaken identity? This is when you go in and you get mistaken for a court reporter, for some sort of administrative assistant, a janitor, and this is reported 50% of white women. But when you look at Hispanic, women of color, they are 8 times more likely to be mistaken for a court reporter or a judicial assistant. So that's something that could be very surprising. And it kind of leads off to a personal story that I have where that actually occurred to me. So if you think about it, you saw 2% of Latina attorneys are practicing law out of the millions of attorneys in the US. And you think you graduated law school, you passed the bar exam successfully, you think that you finally made it. And one of my first hearings was in Panama City, Florida. And I arrived there in my suit with my file ready to go. And I'm walking in through security and I get stopped immediately by the security guard. And he says, "You're gonna have to step to the side, ma'am. This is the line for attorneys." And I was a little bit stunned. I said, "I am an attorney." And the security guard looks at me, kind of looks me up and down, and he says, "You are? You're not a court reporter?" He said, "Let me see your Florida bar card." And so, unfortunately, you think that, you went through so much adversity and you think that you finally made it, and you have to prove to the security guard that you're actually an attorney. So now let's talk a little bit about compensation. So we couldn't get numbers directly as pertaining to the Hispanic community when it comes to compensation, but this is a study taken from the American Immigration Lawyers Association. It was a marketplace study done in 2022. And so when you're looking at competitive salaries for first-year associates, women make 71% in comparison to their male counterparts. So just to put it in simple terms, for every $1 that a male associate makes, a female associate makes 71 cents. Now, if you look at, and this is part of that 2022 study as well, where they looked at the mean net income by gender and practice category. So what was really eye-opening to me was that even self-employed, so even solo practitioners, female ones are making less than their male counterparts. So if you take a look, solo practitioners, so for example, on the graph here, you see solo practitioners with 1 or more associates. In 2021, their mean income was $212,800 for female attorneys, while male solo practitioners with 1 or more associates, they brought in about $256,000. So we're talking about a $44,000 discrepancy. And if you take a look there at the graph as well, as for remote attorneys, women make about $100,000 while their male counterparts are making $150,000. That's a considerable difference. So I'm going to hand it off to my colleague here to talk about challenges for Black women in the law.
Awesome. Well, I guess I was waiting for Suzette to cue me up, but I just realized I'm also manning the PowerPoint. So I mean, it's interesting to hear the statistics that Adriana and Angelica just gave you guys, because much like Latinas, as I'm sure you guys can surmise, Black women also suffer a similar plight in the world, but also in our world, which is the legal profession. So we have a few statistics here as well to share. And basically, this data that we found indicates that in VP roles or SVP roles or C-suite positions, which is, you know, in-house positions where you have the general counsel and you know, the different roles there, women and Black women are significantly underrepresented. And so here we see that where Black women make up about 7.4% of the US population, they account for a meager 1.6% in terms of roles of leadership, VP and higher. Similarly, in C-suite positions, which are the positions such as general counsel, assistant general counsel, similar type roles, they make up only 1.4%, where we have men, white men, making up 68% and 57% respectively. And so, you know, they're over the past 2 years or so in the pandemic, I believe we've seen a shift of more Black women, but also other women of color that have assumed roles of leadership, general counsel, VP, CEO, different roles of that nature. And so there appears to be a shift in the right direction, but obviously it is a very slow process, and one that, you know, while we are grateful and happy to see some sort of change, definitely not keeping up with the times, particularly when we have so many female lawyers in our profession. Now, I don't want to say plight, but the reality of Black women in our profession is that many times we are discounted, or successes are discounted, or ability is discounted. Opportunities are, you know, not very, you know, not things that are easily attained for some of us. And so we have to, as women and as Black women, really work extra hard to get to the same place that our colleagues of whatever gender, race, you know, we may be aligned with are having. And it begs the question, why is that? And obviously, you know, for Black women, it's a double whammy. So we're women. Sometimes we're young women. Sometimes we're old women. Sometimes we're Black. Sometimes we're Latina, Asian, whatever it is. But in my experience, which I'll share in a bit, I have experienced this conclusion, if you will, in terms of having been in situations where I am either not expected to be in the role that I'm in, not expected to do well, you know, at whatever the task is that has been presented, and always having to be in this mindset of trying to prove and trying to be your best self. And so here is another statistic that is truly important when it comes to the profession. As we all know, whatever our practice may be, I'm in a defense practice, but also a plaintiff's practice, you know, a commercial practice, whatever it may be, in order for a woman or any person, but a woman to be successful, you need to have opportunity, right? And so if you do not have the opportunity to get the support and get the access that you need to be good in your profession, to be skilled at your craft, you're not going to succeed, or you're not going to reach the potential that you have. And so here are some numbers, and I won't go through all of them, but it just basically sets out some stats as far as Black women, white women, Latinas, Asian, and other folks, including men. And it gives some statistics about things that we need as professionals to succeed. So it talks about whether or not Black women get support from their managers to navigate politics within your company. We know there's politics everywhere. And if you don't have a champion sometimes to help you navigate who or what to do, it can be difficult to succeed. Do managers provide opportunities for Black women? At 29% is what we have here, which is low compared to other groups. Do managers provide opportunities to manage people and projects? Again, 36% as compared to numbers in the 40s for other groups. For any professional to grow, depending on the practice you're in, but like for me in a defense practice in a mid-sized large firm, you grow when you're able to demonstrate that you can manage others, you can manage projects, you can take the lead, you can first chair trial, you don't have to be third chair or just arguing motions. But if you don't get the opportunity from the people within your organizations, there's no way you're going to get there unless you own your own firm and you're doing your own thing. Managers helping to manage your career path. So maybe litigation isn't for you, or maybe immigration isn't for you, and you're just floundering where you are because no one has told you, listen, I think you're so good at writing. Why don't you consider appellate work? If you don't have people to provide you with information that you may not be able to readily obtain, you know, it will stifle your career, or it can stifle your career. So those are some stats that are truly important in terms of women in the profession and Black women in particular. And some more stats here. Everyone that, you know, works in a company, a firm, you know that you will see these people that, you know, this is the person that deals with compensation, or this is the person that will make sure you get good raises. And oftentimes they sit in their ivory tower, which is their office, and you don't really get to interact with the people that make the decisions. So unless you are someone that will just, you know, make your presence known, and you will go in and say, hey, can I speak with you? My name is Shyler. I work in your firm, sir. Can we talk about what I do and what I need to do to excel in your firm? If you don't have people that are willing to have those conversations with you, or willing to show you the path to leadership and growth within your firm, will provide to be stifling for your career. And so the stats here just show that, you know, between 30 to 40% of different groups, that it's really unlikely that women of these different ethnic groups will interact with the senior leaders at work, which is critical to a successful career. In terms of my story, I am Jamaican. I'm sure you can tell from my accent that I'm from somewhere. So I'm Caribbean and came to the US for law school. I started out working at DCF with the state of Florida, had a lovely time there, made some of my closest friends there. And then I went to law firms, and I've been in law firms since. And there are just a few things that I think for me have been instructive in my getting to where I am now. So anyone that knows me knows that I am very authentic in myself. So I am who I am, and you're either gonna like me and like me a lot, or you're not gonna like me, or you're just gonna, you know, deal. So I like colors. I like colors on my nails. I like colorful suits. I don't subscribe to the black suit, dark blue suit, gray suit phenomenon. And I have had to, you know, explain that my suit and my nail polish is not indicative of being able to win a motion or to win a trial. Obviously, there are variations for everything. I probably wouldn't go to trial with, you know, orange nail polish, but you're a professional and you have to know what works within your profession and what doesn't work. So I've had to push back along the way, you know, in maintaining some of myself while still being the professional and the person that the client has hired to do the job. And that's difficult when you have other women or other men that want you to fit into this little box of who they think you should be. I have dealt with issues of pay inequity. I have had instances where I came to learn that I was severely underpaid when compared to my peers that were very equally yoked, same stats in terms of if you look at us on paper. And it didn't dawn on me until, I spoke with friends that, my pay and the other person's pay probably are different because of nothing more than I am a woman. And either I didn't know what to ask for, so I didn't ask for it, or they just felt that, this is what she gets, this is what this other person gets. And there's no difference that I can deduce other than Black, white, male, female. And so I've had to deal with that. And one thing I would tell folks is a lot of us don't like to talk about pay. Men talk about it. They talk about it when they're at the bar, and they talk about it when they're playing golf. And so we like to be very hush hush in terms of pay. And I'm not saying, go talk about exactly what you make or whatever, but there are ranges within which, if you speak to people that are in similar professions, similar firms, similar type of practice, you can get an idea of whether or not you are where you should be, give or take whatever the different factors are that make you unique. So my story has been one of just, being me, being true to myself, being very good at my craft. And so after a while, you kind of get my God, did you do this? Like, how are you accomplishing these things? Well, I mean, we went to law school, we took the same bar. I took 2. Why'd you expect anything less? So my 2 cents to the women out there, Black, white, Latina, whatever, is be your true self and make sure that you are good at your craft, because at the end of the day, I mean, you can get so far with certain things, but if you are good at what you do and you do it well and you're professional, the rest will come. And that's what my story has been.
Well said, Schuyler. Thank you. And now we're going to hear from Hani on the challenges for women of color in the law.
Hi, my name is Hani Martinez Ward again, and I think that it is hard to believe that the legal field has so much to still accomplish. And today I want to talk about women in leadership, women in general as minorities, because the statistics are even more staggering. I know Angelica talked about the 2%, but there's 60 million Hispanics in the country right now. But by 2050, we're going to have 51 female Hispanics in the country. So to me, this one was 2%. It was like very shocking. And then there's even more shocking stories or statistics in the leadership position. For example, on the second slide, now in general, there's 1.3 million attorneys in the country, but only 9% are women of color. That is all minorities. We should be at 19.5, and we are at 9% right now. But for Blacks and Latinas, the statistics get even worse, because in leadership roles, we are very underrepresented. So if you are watching this and you've stayed this long listening to statistics, the goal of my presentation is for you to get out there and serve, be a leader somewhere, because what you're about to hear, I kind of had to double check my statistics. I had to triple check, Google it, because it is impossible that only 4% of lawyers are women of color in leadership roles. So we're talking about all minorities. We're talking about Asians, people from Romania, Hispanics, Blacks. So we don't have a lot of that representation. And many times we're taking orders from men, but they don't understand the intricacies that we have to deal with. For me, I have to be a mom, I have to be a wife, I have to be a leader of others, inspiring women in my firm while still representing the clients. So when we talked about that 4%, when we go to Blacks and Hispanic women in leadership role, guess what percentage that is? I feel like people have to guess, but Blacks and Hispanic women are the most underrepresented in partnership ranks in the whole United States, and they make up less than 1% partners in US law firm. Let me say that again, less than 1% partners in US law firms. When I was like preparing for this presentation, I couldn't believe it, because maybe we are in Miami-Dade. Maybe the women here in these panels are the ones that fighting these statistics, but we are here fighting that 1%. And I don't think that is fair. We see in law school, a lot of women. We see in law school 50%. We've heard these statistics, but where are these women? We have a lot of talents. We are gifted with like our sixth sense. We can often anticipate things that, you know, male counterpart can, even reading a jury, even like facial expressions. So why are we still in all minorities, especially in Blacks or Latina, why are we at that 1%? Also, Angelica talked about mistaken identity, and we are 8 times more likely to be identified as a paralegal, court reporter, janitor, and that happened to me. So when I started my law firm, I will go with my client, and it was like me, my husband, and I had a legal assistant. So we had to wear all hats. I had to be the investigator, I had to be the receptionist, I had to be everything. So I would go to mediation and show up with my client. And the first question that I would get from the mediator, from opposing counsel, was, where is the attorney? And I would say, I'm the attorney. And they're like, no, no, but seriously, we need to start. Where is the attorney? And that didn't happen once or twice. That happened over and over and over again. Could it be because I was young? Could it be because of many other reasons? The truth is that I never heard that from a man, from another man, like even young, even starting in their career. They were never asked if they were the paralegal or they were the, I don't know, whatever they were. But I heard that over and over again. That happened to me. And then not only that, so when I was in high school, for all of those of you that maybe they don't know my story, I came to this country when I was 14 years old, and I crossed the border, and I was in ESOL classes. So 10th grade in high school was the first class that was going to be my regular English class. I wasn't in ESOL anymore. And my English teacher told me, write a story about your future self, write a letter about what you want to do. So 10 years from now, you can open this letter and you can talk about, and you can read what you want to do. So I wrote, I want to be a lawyer. I love helping people. I want to fight for people, and I want to help people in general. So when I got this letter back, it was full of red ink and marks, and she saw me. And I was just like, okay, I got a bad grade. I was shocked, right? But she looked at me and she told me, you're never going to be a lawyer. You don't know how to write English. You don't know how to speak English. No university would ever accept you. And it really marked me, because she was a person of authority in my life. I had all this hope that I was finally leaving ESOL classes to start to learn English, and she would guide me through this process. And I almost I cried that day. Obviously, it marked me a lot, but I finally was able to get into university. I got a scholarship, got accepted. But it's really hard when you get a person from an authority figure that you look up to tell you these things. But after I passed law school, after I graduated, after I took the bar, I said, listen, even in Miami, we don't have a lot of attorneys, female attorneys that speak Spanish, that has my story, that maybe, you know, like want to help immigrants and Hispanics like me. So I was very excited, very young and like naive. And I'm like, I want to start my own law firm. So I go and I ask a person that was very involved in the Florida bar, and he was a man. And I asked him, hey, can you help me? Can you give me advice about how to start my own law firm and how to, you know, where to begin? That's my dream. And he told me, listen, I'm going to give you the best advice that I can give you. The best thing that I can give you is you got to work for a male partner for 10 years and until you learn everything from him. And then maybe you can consider starting your own law firm. And again, it took me back to that teacher because he was involved in the Florida bar. He was like a person of authority. And then my dreams were like crushed again. And I don't know if any of you have had these things happen, but it does happen often. And there is a bias of maybe they don't mean it, maybe it's not intentional, but it does happen to us on the everyday. And just this like 3 months ago, it happened to me again. I was in the Florida, in the National Trial Association that happened in January. And I was giving a speech about hiring, and I was giving a speech about our core value and culture at the World Law Group. And a lot of people at the end came and approached me, and they say, wow, like, I'd like to know more about it. And we had discussed, people knew about this big settlement that we got in excess of 100 million. And there's 3 men that approached me, and they wanted to know more about it. And one of them was a professor that teaches you like how to try cases and stuff like that. And he asked me, so how do you get the case? Was it your family? Was it your relative? So it took me back, because this also happened 3 months ago. And this guy didn't ask me, what were your marketing efforts? How do you advertise? How do you get clients? It was like, was it your family or your relative? Like I said, it's somebody that you know. So a lot of times, even though we're fighting, we're putting that same kind of energy into the world, people still ask, people just assume it's not out of our own merits or marketing efforts. People assume it's somebody that we just got lucky and we just happen to know. So I just want to tell you, for all the girls out there, I can't see you. I don't know who you are, but in my story, despite all these rejections and all these obstacles that we had to overcome, our firm recently celebrated our 10-year anniversary representing the Hispanic community, and that's what we do. So for all those people that said no, we at least got to 10 years and we're excited. We have been able to grow 10x our firm 3 times. We went from, like, my husband and I, 2 people, to 140 employees. We have gotten $500 million in settlements. So I just want to say, if you have a dream, if you want to be a leader, if you want to be out there, you can do it. Don't let anybody label you. Don't let anybody define you. Don't let the negativity get in the way, because a lot of people said it's impossible, you cannot do it. So my testimony, my story that I share with you today is that if I did it, you can do it. And with God, anything is possible.
Yes, 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 yes. I'm like all here ready to like take on the world with all these stories. So thank you, Hani, for that and for sharing with everybody. I mean, this topic is called Minority Women and Their Impact in the Changing Legal Community. So you've heard a lot of statistics, but what's the reason we're sharing those statistics with you is because despite those dismal statistics, we are still doing what we are doing. We have our chief judge, Chief Judge Safety. We have amazing women in our judiciary, despite all odds. You've heard from these wonderful women. So we just need to now, what can we do? What can we do to change this? And for me, I can relate in many ways with a lot of these stories. As some of you might not know, but I'm going to be the first Cuban-American female president of the Miami-Dade Bar Association in its 107-year history. And when I share that with people, everyone's like, are you kidding me? It's Miami-Dade County. Well, exactly. It's Miami-Dade County. And despite us being in Miami-Dade County, I'm going to be the first Hispanic American woman president. I'm very proud of that. But now what we need to focus on is what can we do to try to change this. First thing you need to do is share these statistics with the leadership at your firms. Talk to other lawyers. If you're part of voluntary bar associations where you have an affinity group, work on programming that can educate our profession as to why these statistics matter and why changing the statistics is not only great for our profession, but for our clients and for the community that we service. And these are all the statistics that we've shared. The next thing you want to do is, if you're in a law firm, you want to, and you don't have a DEI initiative, you need to start one now. What is DEI? DEI is diversity, equality, and inclusion. That's what DEI stands for. And if you're looking around and you're the only woman, or you're the only Hispanic person, or you're the only Asian person, like Schuyler said, it affects your mindset. Because maybe you don't, but you always feel like you're the only one in the room. You can't associate with some people. So starting the initiative and trying to change that, trying to change what your firm looks like, trying to change what the leadership looks like is very important to making sure that everyone in your firm grows. And in doing the research for this presentation, I saw from justmeanin.org has so many free resources. They have trainings, video trainings that your firm can start doing, your HR team can put together. You can organize what's called a lean in circle, where it's so, it teaches you how to form these mentoring circles among women and other allies that can help grow and change what your firm looks like and what the leadership looks like. The next thing that we can also do is, if your firm doesn't have a mentorship program, work to establish one. Have a formal one where you're pairing up female lawyers with other female lawyers. If you don't have enough female lawyers, then make it so that the women are also interacting with men. Make that be a norm. As I was doing the research, I was reading that some men feel that they're nervous about mentoring women because they feel like the relationship might look inappropriate. Well, first of all, I think that I understand the concern, but I think if you have two adults that are professional, I don't think that is ever something to be concerned about. So that's number one. And number two, if in fact your leadership is all men, then that's not an excuse. You have to help your women, you have to help advance them, and it's not fair to just be mentoring the men because that's what you feel comfortable with. I'm happy to say that, and I'm lucky to say that in all the firms that I've worked with, although it's predominantly been men, they have never been shy in terms of helping me grow, helping me as a professional, helping me in my personal life. And while, yes, I have been also lucky to work at firms where I did have great women lawyers that were in leadership, sometimes that's not available for all of us. So definitely make sure that you're establishing these mentorship programs and not just doing lip service. You got to really follow through with it. The next thing that we should be doing is look at who we're hiring, look at who we're promoting, and keep statistics. Identify, are you hiring the person, if your leadership is predominantly male, are you only hiring men? What is that hiring percentage look like? And really set objectives for yourselves and say, this is where we need to be improving. We're hiring only this percentage of women, this percentage of LGBTQ, this percentage of just whatever the statistics is, monitor it and make sure that you're setting a benchmark and increasing that. And like I said, track women's representation and gender differences in promotion rates. That also is going to make sure that you're keeping up with what you are promising to do. I know we have some questions, so we're going to take those. We have a question from Daniel that says, thank you all for being here. My question is with respect to trial and juries. How do you all navigate trial, and particularly voir dire, given some of the implicit bias and stereotypes that accompany being a woman, person of color in the law? How do you strike the balance between tackling these biases head on versus laying low to avoid drawing attention or more attention to them? So who would like to take that? I'm sure we can all share our thoughts on voir dire and being a woman, especially a woman of color or all the other things that we are.
I would say, again, you kind of just have to be yourself. And if you've done enough trials and you've done, voir dire, you'll get some people and some people you won't, right? And so I have an accent. I always try to ask something about, what do you think about, my funny accent? Will that make you, have my client start behind or things like that? But I think if you really try to just be personable, walk around and try to connect as best you can with people, then they will see you for your true self. And again, everyone's not gonna like you, right? Some people may like Suzette if she's my, opposing counsel because she's Hispanic, and some may like me because I'm not. So you just have to, do your thing and try to be the best version of yourself in every aspect, including trials.
Yes. Be you.
Thank you very
That's
much.
the main
This
thing.
concludes this program. Please enjoy the rest of Florida Lock-On. Thank you very much to all the panelists and the participants that were here today.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.